And any declarations of interest today? I don't think we have. It's a pretty light agenda. So now we'll get into our public forum, which we have none of, and deputations by appointment. So Tony Chaston, please, be talking about, speaking about item 7, the new footpaths program. Welcome, Tony.
Mr Mayor and councillors, I'm here representing my neighbours, lobbying for council support to build a single footpath from Sutherland's Road to the north end car park of the Quarry Recreational Reserve along Cashmere Road. I am Tony Chaston, resident of 851 Cashmere Road, which overlooks the problem area, and as a regular walker to the quarry and also biking in the area, understand the issue well. The road is narrow, it has a speed limit of 60 k's and is dangerous for the many walkers and runners who use the grassy berm to access the park and beyond. At present, the danger has been heightened by a slip, with a temporary council fix done approximately 3 months ago that forces walkers out on the road to pass. At this point, the road is only 6 metres in width, which is half as wide as the start of the Cashmere Road at the Horswell End, where that area has double footpaths as well. In my opinion, the council needs to fix this problem immediately, as this is a dangerous spot and it's an accident waiting to happen. Footpath construction has been achieved on the 2 other nearby subdivisions on Cashmere Road, namely at Redmond Spur and Barnfields. And us residents can't understand why the Quarry Gate development hasn't had the same rules applied to it. The huge housing development in the Horswell area has significantly increased the traffic flow along Cashmere Road, and with it also the danger of walking along the berm. Councillor Moore wrote to me in a letter and stated, "Council staff are proposing we prioritise new footpaths in other parts of the city that already have paths on one side of the road and have ranked our request down the list, way down the list, in fact 3 to 5 years or more," is what he stated. We strongly remind you councillors and staff that this section of Cashmere Road has no footpath and believe our project should be prioritised ahead of other single footpath roads. We reinforce this belief as it will also address the major safety issue I've already described. This footpath meets all council's published goals for the long-term plan. It will enable the residents in the area to actively participate in the community, utilise the Quarry Park for green and livable goals, enable them to pursue their sporting interest and make this area of the city a great place to live. Footpaths and access to recreational areas are part, in my opinion, of the council's core business in new subdivisions. And we urge you to prioritise this, and I gave it a rough measure, 600 metre footpath along Cashmere Road. Thank you. I'm happy to ask questions and happy to listen to any opinions why this proposal would not be accepted.
Pauline, then Andre, please.
Thank you, Tony. I've just missed there's several, in our report, there's several suggestions for Cashmere footpaths in the prioritisation list. Can you repeat which area it was again? I missed it at the beginning.
Yes, the area is at the end of Sutherland's Road, which meets Cashmere Road. There's a footpath. It goes to the end as part of the Quarry Gate, so it was partly done on the Quarry Gate, but the back end of the Quarry Gate subdivision, there is no footpath that runs along Cashmere Road, so it's going west to the quarry.
Right. Thank you. What number is it in the prioritisation? Number 6, is it? I'm referring to the original list.
The original list?
Yep.
Oh, well, yeah. So many years ago.
Thank you. Number
Andre?
would have been helpful.
You're next.
Thank you. Are you able to just talk a bit about the new areas that are moving in? So it's not a rural area like it once was. You're just able to talk a bit about the new subdivisions that we're referring to here that are popping in, not just already, but are still to come in. So we're talking about a lot of people living in the area now.
Yes, we are. And when I first moved there, there was rural living right in front of us. So the area has changed, and I believe the facilities and the roading should improve with it. And Cashmere Road historically was a quiet little road, extensively used by cyclists and walkers and runners. In my early days, I used to run along there. It has become a dangerous road because, one, of its narrowness, and two, lack of access to footpaths. And I think this needs to be addressed.
Thank you.
Tony, Tim.
Thanks for coming in. With regards to our ratings of footpaths, do you think that areas with no footpath, A, should be identified in lists, and B, should be given a weighting because there are literally no footpaths? Because some of the weightings we have one footpath on one side of the road, but you know that there's the traffic numbers, etc., and all that, but do you think that having no footpaths whatsoever should be weighted higher?
Yeah, certainly do, Councillor, because you have an option of safety to walk down one side, and I understand because Cashmere Road is narrow that the reality is there's probably only going to be one footpath on that side, but that would be quite adequate for future living, and because there's a hill on the other side. So I think it should be prioritised. If you've got one footpath on one side, you can keep out of the road of the traffic. If you've got none, you haven't an option.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tony, for coming in and sharing your views. Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Righto, so now we've got Marie, chairperson. Oh yeah, Marie, hello. Comboard, who'll be speaking on item 7.
Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Waipuna, Halswell, Hornby, Riccarton Community Board. Apologies if I start croaking a wee bit. I had laryngitis a couple of weeks ago, but because this is an important issue for our board area, I would use whatever is left of my voice to speak on behalf of my board and our constituents. Now, the board recognizes the importance of safe pedestrian access for all residents. The board's vision in its community board plan expresses its commitment to creating a thriving, connected, and inclusive community where sustainability and the well-being of residents are a priority. In particular, the board plan identifies as a priority, and I quote, advocating for safe, accessible pedestrian connections to significant community destinations in the Halswell ward. Noting that Halswell is rapidly developing, and as various subdivisions have taken shape, a number of footpaths that abruptly end have been installed. That's where we have the footpaths to nowhere. Now, the board is therefore supportive of the new footpaths program to proactively identify, prioritize, and deliver new footpath links, and even expressed its support in its 2025-26 annual plan submission. While the board understands that there needs to be a prioritization process, it has a number of concerns about the original process used, that is in option 1. Firstly, the board is concerned that the prioritization process in option 1 does not appear to reflect the level of community demand and support. It does not give sufficient weighting given to the community board priorities. It does not adequately take long-term plan and annual plan submissions and resolutions into account. It does not consider the source of development contributions that contribute to the fund. And it prioritizes roads that have a footpath on one side over roads that have no footpaths on either side. And so the board questions whether the priorities identified truly reflect where the most urgent need for footpaths exist. The board notes that out of the top 20 locations prioritized in option 1, only one of them is in the Holswell suburb, despite the need for safe and accessible pedestrian connections in this area having been identified as a priority in the community board plan. The list does include a footpath along a portion of Wigram Road from Ngapuna Y to Musgrove Close that is in the Holswell ward, but it is in the Wigram suburb, not the Holswell suburb. The board considers that to address many of the concerns I earlier mentioned, it has identified that the new footpath program should also be weighted towards areas with no footpath provision, which we are happy to note is now considered in option 2. The board supports the much-needed Hornby footpaths that are currently on the priority list in both options, given that Hornby had a bare minimum spent on footpaths in the last term, but accepts delay to the footpaths in Main South Road from Canterbury Street to opposite Garvin's Road and along Wilmers Road from Awatea Road to Springs Road in option 2. While parts of Sutherland's Road are prioritized in the program in both options 1 and 2 for delivery in the current period, the board is disappointed that the scoping and planning works for Cashmere Road from Sutherlands to Holswell Quarry Park and Main South Road from northern side between Woolworths and the Hub is proposed for report back to the relevant community board ahead of the fiscal year 27 to 37 long-term plan. So the board's disappointment is more about the timing for both Cashmere Road and Main South Road, since considering that the board had been advocating for this in the past 3 years. Now, along with the board's concern for safety along Cashmere Road, the board has serious concerns for the safety of pedestrians on Main South Road outside Woolworths across Carmen Road to the Hornby Hub without a footpath, and has regularly advocated for a footpath in this vicinity. It has been advised that due to the complexity and likely cost, this project would not be suitable under the new footpaths program and would need to be a separate project, as it is now currently recommended. The board accepts this, but maintains that there needs to be a means for these vital projects to be progressed as a matter of urgency. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Thank you, sorry, Yanni, we have run out of time, and thank you for me for coming in. Very good. Okay, so now we have Cody Cooper, who is also talking about item 7.
There we go. All right, good morning. Thank you for having me here today. Hearing that presentation just before, you'd maybe think that Halswell's just about the only place in our ward, and today I'll be giving you a couple of reasons why I support option A, not option B or C. And I'll just start with some pictures, right? So I've shown you on here, Springs Road, and this is moved up to option 1, and there's brilliant. I presented a petition to our community board some months ago with more than 20 signatures, and was a little bit surprised to see that that wasn't actually considered as part of either option. But regardless, every resident I've spoken with in this area, I've been door knocking a lot of places, has told me that they support building this footpath. We've got works underway there now, but they're actually not coordinated to make sure that's done. Here's Awatea Road as well, and so we've got a whole bunch of new housing going in. And I'd just like to highlight that this council fought heavily to have intensification targeted at Hornby, not Halswell. And so it tracks that we should actually be building footpaths in Hornby where people will actually use them. This here we can clearly see, so there's a safe crossing point and the footpath just ends, and this is not uncommon. Here's another one, and we see the footpath actually reduces in size and just stops. These footpaths are the only option available for people catching the bus in Wigram, which is served very poorly by bus services. Here we'll see Woolmans Road, and this one actually moves outside of the program, going from number 16 to 22. This very well used Warren Park along Wilmers Road will not be progressed within the next 3 years, and I think that's unacceptable. What we're saying is we're happy for people to trudge through the potholes and the water, which floods basically all the time. This was just yesterday. I don't think that's acceptable. Stedman Road has got a brand new rest home and is privileged to meet with all the residents there recently. There's a lot of residents there. We've got these stupid barriers in place which have asked to be removed before, and as you can see, one of the clearest design lines actually citywide, I would say. 2 design lines. That person walking in the background actually walks from Carmen Road straight up to the rest home, and they would have paid an absolute fortune in development contributions. And we're saying here that that's going to move from 19 to 29. They're not going to get their footpath. My grandmother died from tripping, and that's basically what we're saying we're okay with if we do this. I don't think that's acceptable. I don't think it's acceptable that someone should have to cross the road 3 times to get to the bus. We're making a decision, if we choose option B, to disable these people when we don't otherwise have to, by making it so difficult for them to actually catch the bus when they might not be able to otherwise get around. By choosing option B. I don't think we can do that. Vickeries Road, I met with some residents around here. I understand that this park, there's a children's playground in the top right, due for renewal, is very dodgy. There's very heavy traffic in this area, and there's basically no footpaths. When we go down Vickeries Road, I think it's section 2, there's no footpaths. It's basically just used for car parking. It's a muddy situation, the same as what we see down Wilmers Road. I would be distraught if something were to happen to someone's kid along there, maybe getting hit by a truck. Main South Road, I understand that this project's complex, but we can't let Kiwi Rail hold us to ransom over our own city. Like to see those 2 tracks actually converted to scrap metal, chuck it up on Marketplace, get them converted into something where people can actually walk and cycle to and from South Hornby up to the high school and the shops. We still see new developments continuing with no footpaths. That's just wild. Why are we still doing this? Why are we letting this happen? This is brand new. This has just gone in recently. But many of them actually still remain not on this list. And so this is Abbey's Road, the site of where we're planning, I believe is it high density in this area? Yep. And so we're actually saying that areas that are not zoned for high density, we're going to give them lots of footpaths that probably not many people are going to use. But in the high density areas, no footpaths, no transport choices, no car parks. That's crazy. Halswell's received more than $3.7 million worth of transport improvements this term. Here's the list. Lots of traffic lights, speed humps, school area improvements. Our schools have been asking for years. $6.6 million for Riccarton and craft funding. Church Corner, twice or 3 times. Traffic islands on Riccarton Road, Deans Ave Crossing and singular speed hump, and 3 speed humps in Service Street.
Thank you, Cody. How much longer have you got, mate?
Yep. This is the last one. So in Hornby, we've received the most expensive level crossing citywide and 1 new speed hump. So when you're making a decision today, I'll just consider that we've had basically nothing.
Okay. Thank you, mate. Thanks for coming in. Sorry, Andre, we haven't got time for questions. We'll do it in the main one. Okay. Thank you, Cody. Right, now we will have Paul, who will also be speaking about new footpaths. Item 7.
Here you go, Yanni. Morning, Mr Mayor and councillors. My name's Paul McGarry. I'm the McDonald's owner on the corner of Linwood Ave and Buckley's Road. I'm here in support of option A for the footpath redevelopment program. I've just got a picture up there of Linwood and Buckley's. We lease that area next to the building from you, and we're prepared to look at a rewrite to run the footpath around the perimeter of Linwood Ave there, joining up to Cranley Street. We think, I've been here before and deputised in support of the speed humps, which we think have have done a good job of improving or slowing down vehicles and improving the safety around that intersection. What we want to see is the footpath go in, reduce the conflict that we have, particularly through our drive-through of cars, scooters, bikes, pedestrians, and a lot of the antisocial behaviour, but at the same time help to improve traffic flow, reduce emissions, and so I wanted to turn up in support of that, where I think we are number 13 on option A, having it done within the next couple of years, as opposed to option 26 on the Plan B proposal. Thank you.
Right. Questions, anybody? Yanni and Celeste, both at the same time. Yep.
Yeah, thank you for coming in. Have you had any discussions with the new mall ownership about what their plans are? And do you think it would be sensible to kind of, because there's also been improvements proposed for Chelsea Street, for example, that were deferred at the community board? Yeah. Because there's do you think it would be sensible to get a bigger plan for this area around the mall so that everything's done together rather than isolation?
We've spoken to the mall. The mall are in support of us doing this, and I guess that look for us also looking to acquire a bit of land designated road, which is up there. I haven't marked it. Yeah, if it can all fit within the same time frame, I'm in support of it. But if it was something that was going to blow out longer than what's already there at option 13, I wouldn't be. So if that was possible, then I wouldn't have any issue with it. I think the mall are in support of improving the whole area for the benefit, obviously, of the mall, but also of the community.
Sorry, just final question. Have staff talked to you about the Linwood regeneration plan at all?
No.
Okay.
No, thank you. Celeste, please.
I think you've actually answered my question, but what you're saying is you'd prefer to see progress now than wait for the sort of perfect plan to be developed. Is that right?
That's right. Yep,
and
that's
you're
wise.
seeing risk to people currently because there's obviously a lot of young people that travel across around the McDonald's, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And families?
I don't know if anyone was on a bit of social media last week and saw a wee brawl that busted up on the corner there, spilled through the drive-through where we've got cars coming through. We see plenty of conflict. I think it's just about trying to separate that out to reduce that conflict, which improves the safety for all users. And I'm not just there as a business owner. I'm cycling there, I'm walking around, I'm spending a lot of time there, I see a lot of it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for making time to come in. Good to see you.
Thanks very much.
Good to see you, mate. Okay, so now we've got Mark Derbyshire, who is here on behalf of the Atlas Quarter, but also as an individual. Is that right, mate?
Yeah, well, I guess I can speak on behalf of both, but yeah, mainly Atlas Quarter.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Go for your life. This is about Wells Street temporary improvements.
Kia ora koutou, thank you for having me. So yeah, I just thought I'd, I guess, remind you about some of the reasons for the changes on the proposed temporary improvements on Wells Street and some of the other things that we'd ideally like to see at some stage in the future. So yeah, looking at the area, well, the eastern frame, you can see there's been a big change from how it looked before the earthquakes to how it looks now. Some best practice there in terms of how you manage high density living and making sure that there's lots of supporting amenities such as green space, which is great. And the problem we've got on Wells Street at the moment is that pre-quakes it was an industrial area, but if you look at the streetscape, it hasn't actually changed. It still just looks like the industrial area that it was before. So these proposed improvements like planter boxes and so on and so forth, I guess to me they're the first tentative steps towards reworking the street into something that better suits its mixed use that it has now. With potentially hundreds of people living on that street and many people coming and going to all the businesses every day. it's baby steps. It's great that there's a proposal finally to do some improvements and make it look a bit nicer. But definitely, we would prefer to see, instead of like planter boxes, like proper planted trees, permanent improvements. Understand that there's no budget for that at the moment, so it would be good if don't sort of just forget about us for the next 5 years, but as annual plans come up, think about whether there's more permanent measures that could be budgeted for. On Wells Street, when we think about planter boxes, this is kind of what we think about. They get a lot of vandalism. You can end up with dead plants or weeds, people trying to push the boxes over, so on and so forth. So we're a bit wary of the idea of having lots of planter boxes added to the street, and so the key thing is that they will need to be maintained, watered. If they do get vandalized or so on, then there needs to be a plan for the upkeep. Love the idea of more outdoor seating around some of the businesses. Just please make sure you clear all the leaves from underneath, because if you don't, the street starts flooding like this. And just in general, I guess a reminder that flooding has been a bit of an issue over the years, and if there's anything that can be done to improve that situation, it makes it a lot more pedestrian friendly. Speaking of pedestrian friendly, we love the idea of having a pedestrian route that runs north to south from Pack and Save. People can walk through our private property, Atlas Quarter. Then there's a couple of ways to get from Wells Street to St Asaph Street at the moment, but they're both private property, so there's no guarantee they're going to stay there. My understanding is one of them's going to get built over. Who knows about the other ones? So it would be great if there's something you can do to protect those pedestrian ways, because our own property is a pedestrian way as well. And as you can see, the one next to the bus exchange has been closed for the last couple of years, which is frustrating. But yeah, pedestrian access ways are great. A reminder, the speed limit on Colombo Street is 30, but when you turn down Dundas or Wells Street, suddenly it goes up to 50. That's nuts. It doesn't make sense. We would like to see more sensible, safe speed limits on these streets, and especially on Wells Street, thinking about traffic calming measures. What can be done to help drivers understand that this is a pedestrian heavy street, and they need to be more considerate of the people on foot. I think I saw in the Spoke submission, they talked about how unsafe for cyclists it is when their bike lane disappears at the end of Wells Street, and I would agree with that as well. It definitely needs some improvement there. And a reminder that, I guess, the security issue, I think there's been well over 50 security incidents that we've logged over the years, but only a fraction get reported to the police because there's no incentive to do so. We're trying to encourage the residents to be better at reporting. And so, we've asked before if there's the possibility of having cameras in the neighbourhood. I think, if there's a goal to have 20,000 people in the city centre, it's important to make sure that they have all the supporting amenities that they need. And I think with really high density residential developments in the neighbourhood, cameras are one of those things that you should be looking at across the city centre. In terms of our own street, we would be open to cost sharing if you're able to give us some figures about what that, how much it would actually cost. Look into whether the cables already exist on the street and whether, this is something that could be added onto the current project. This incentivizes residents to report things to the police because only the police have access. That's where our interests are. It'd be great if there were cameras near those locations. And I've also said in my submission, bike parks closer to O Studio, because that's where a lot of cyclists are going, rubbish and recycling bins. And we'd love the idea of having a friendly fair on the street. It gets floated every now and then, but it seems like such a big, scary idea. We don't know if it could ever happen. But thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in. Very, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now Grace, we are on behalf of Greater Otatahi and will also speak about item 8.
So I'm Grace Stentz. I'm the chairperson of Greater Otatahi, and first of all, I just wanted to talk about what Mark was talking about. We'll largely cover a lot of the same points, so I will leave some time for questions. So we broadly support the changes for Wells Street, sort of specifically noting how much limited funding there is available in that space at the moment. However, we think there needs to be more investment in that space. Wells Street should be the gold standard for residential streets. It already has existing private investment. It already has residential areas on that street, and it's already got thriving businesses. that people go into the city centre to visit. And there's more developments already on the way or starting soon. So this really should be a place where we are aiming the highest we can rather than just sort of fiddling around the edges. If we want a city centre that is pleasant to be in and that people are wanting to move into the city as well as spend time and money, we need to be investing into these places. Something we also wanted to specifically note was we were hoping for investment in footpaths in the area. Getting around in that space can be very difficult. Especially in some of those spaces outside of Atlas Quarter and outside of the Welder. There's some sort of congestion areas. People are being forced into the street to let people pass, especially if you're in a pram. And there are quite a few young families in Atlas Quarter where this does become an issue, or if you're in a wheelchair, or any other range of issues that need a little bit more space on the pavement. And yeah, especially as we're allowing more seating in that area, that's just going to sort of add more congestion into that space. And we want to allow people to cross. And that was something else we noted in our submission. There is currently no safe pedestrian crossing on Wells Street. It is quite a busy pedestrian area, but it is also quite a high traffic area. And there's just no way to sort of guarantee safety. You can't even sort of go down to the other end of the street to cross safely. And there are some temporary solutions you can do with planter boxes and those sort of things, but looking towards the future, having a proper pedestrian crossing would be a real boon to the area and just sort of avoid some more of those hazard spaces. And that's also what we heard from residents and visitors to the area through the submission process was safety is one of those main core issues, and a lack of crossing and the high speeds being acknowledged by residents. And yeah, so again, while this is a limited scope of project because of funding and a variety of other issues, we're really hoping that council at some point, either now or in the very near term, invests more into this area. This shouldn't wait until the end of this temporary project because that is 5 years away. More development's going to happen that's just going to make these issues worse. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions, please? No, you've done a very good job. Thank you very much for coming in.
Amazing. Thank you.
Good on you. Right, now we have no petitions today, so I'll move on to confirmation of minutes, which I'm happy to move and Pauline's happy to second, items 5 and 16.